more why that was important. Because even when I was little, people would say like, you're Chinese, and then that would be like something that would be very interesting because I have, I know American culture. I grew up here. I went to school here, but I also have Chinese and Taiwanese culture. And when I go back to Taiwan or anywhere really where people speak Chinese, I can speak to them. And that is so special because I mean, it's kind of hard to understand until you actually go somewhere and everyone is speaking, and then you can like talk to them and you can like exchange ideas with them and talk about things that you both like and just get to know them. So that's kind of what sparked, kind of like my parents making me speak Chinese, kind of sparked my interest in a lot of different languages. Do you have a question? Oh, okay, sorry, I thought you were raising your hand. Feel free to stop me at any time, and if I'm going too fast, just let me know.
So how often did you visit Taiwan?
So when I was younger, I think we went around like once every 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, but the plane ticket is so expensive, and it's gotten more and more expensive. So last time I went was 2 years ago, because I went and I studied abroad in Japan, and then I went to Taiwan on the way, because it's just like across the pond. Yeah, but I've also learned Spanish, and I learned Japanese, and right now I'm continuing to learn Japanese, but who knows what other languages are going to come up. So in regards to Chinese school, I went to Chinese school for like 5 years or something like that.
More than that, you start at the age of 5.
Yeah, I started really
the same
young.
school here.
Yeah, and then I kept going, and then I like took a hiatus. So I was like, I'm done with this. And then I came back in high school or middle school.
Yeah, about middle school.
3 or 4 more years. Yeah, but I understand not wanting to do your homework, and I understand, looking like, oh my gosh, I have to come in on Saturday and like learn Chinese. But I realize now that being able to write the characters, being able to speak the language with the tones that you need, and being able to just communicate and converse, those are things that you really have to continue doing constantly. Because if you stop, then you don't do it every day, and it just leaves you. And then, I mean, you can pick it back up, but those are all things that you need to have habit and have to have pattern with. And if you realize why it's important, like for me, I can speak to my relatives, I can, talk to friends in Taiwan and, type in pinyin to them and speak to them and just, ask them how their day is. Even though sometimes it can get a little bit tedious, I'm really glad that I did take that time and have that experience here at Chinese school where I was able to be like, okay, I'm going to learn this word and learn this word and learn this word. And it's all kind of, transient knowledge that you continue building on as you, continue through Chinese school. So I guess that's kind of my Chinese school experience. Right now at school, I don't, there's not really college Chinese school, but actually at Michigan State, there are a lot of international students, and there's so many. And a lot of them are from China and Taiwan. And I'm actually very active in the international student community. And a lot of them actually come up to me and start speaking Chinese to me directly. And I will speak Chinese to them, but I know that if I didn't have people encouraging me to continue learning Chinese throughout my life, I wouldn't be able to make that connection with them and help them fit into university culture as well. So I guess that's the short version of my Chinese school experience, kind of what I'm doing now. Do you guys have any questions or anything? If you have any questions about college life or anything like that, yeah.
Let's have her story.
Yeah, we can all
Ask her if she ever fussed going to Chinese school.
Yes,
doing
all
the
the
homework.
time.
Ask her.
I'll answer for you. Yeah, I mean, my mom knows that. I'd be doing my homework, on Thursday and Friday, and doing 4 days worth of homework in one day, and just sitting in front of a computer, and especially when I was in middle school and I started having more actual school homework, I'd be like, why do I have to do this? All my friends on Thursday and Friday, they can be done with their actual American school homework, but I'm sitting here doing my Chinese school homework, I was like, why do I have to do this? But in the moment, you really don't want to, but over time, you realize why you need to come back and you need to learn that every single day. Because it's just it's not something that you can sit down and cram into your head. Language learning doesn't work like that. It's something that you have to sit down and think about and, build on and talk to people and write and read and listen and all of that stuff. So, I understand. I completely understand. Especially when, there's a TV show that you want to watch, and then you're sitting there doing your Chinese homework or something like that. But for me, I guess it's kind of, a hindsight kind of thing where I look back and I'm like, I'm really glad I did that. Even at the time, if I did it out of necessity or because my parents wanted me to, that's fine. But now I'm really glad that I did take that time and sit down and do it. So I know that's not the answer you want to hear, but just, do whatever yes.
I have a similar experience growing up where my mother didn't speak English.
Okay.
She only spoke Spanish.
Oh.
And so in the home, we had no choice but to speak Spanish, except that she actually, with the minimum English that she knew, she would actually teach us like colors and numbers in English.
Right.
And so we were kind of like sort of prepared a little bit, but with an accent, of course, with a little tone difference because, she was she had, very heavy accent. But when we come home and knew English already and wanted to speak to her in English, she wouldn't allow us to because it wasn't about us. I mean, it wasn't about her, it was about us having the culture, the experience of your Spanish background, and for the same reason to be able to talk to my family members when I go visit, be able to speak to my grandparents and aunts and uncles and cousins, and she had us write also in Spanish so we can write them letters, and back then we used to write a lot of letters. There was no, email communication. And the same goes for reading and watching television, because they used to watch Spanish television. So it was ingrained in us, and we used to go there every summer almost. So for the same reason, and we were just happy and fortunate to have that Spanish, at home. And the translation, to be able to understand other people when they speak different languages, that it is difficult because you have to translate it in your head first before you can actually say it. So in general, it's beneficial no matter what bilingual language.
I agree. I think language just brings, and culture, and that culture that's associated with that language, because they're not separate. They go together, which is why you have to do so many different things. And when you're learning a language, just because it's so ingrained in everything, you can't have a language just exist on its own. Except maybe Latin, but that's different. But it's like taking, here we're learning in a classroom, but they always say, for example, when I was learning Japanese, I started learning it because I went to Japan, and I didn't know any Japanese, and I went, and I had to learn it all just from people talking around me, and I found that was a lot more helpful to me than sitting down and memorizing vocab lists. So when we take that, I know it's a little bit hypocritical for me to say that when we're sitting here in a classroom, but here in the U.S., when we want to learn a language, it's sometimes more difficult to find those communities to be in, which is why, I think it's so important to every single day, expose yourself to Chinese a little bit. If you're listening to a song, it can be fun. You can listen to a song, you can watch a drama, you can, say a couple words, you can write a journal or something every day, or something like that. And that's just another way to reinforce. And whenever you have the chance to talk to people in Chinese, you use it. Because that's the time when you really can take what you've learned and synthesize it and make it important in your life.
Well, I brought a lot of CDs for my son. We used to watch pretty much all Chinese.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
In China, where we lived there for 3 years. And so my husband was downstairs in the basement yesterday. He said, I brought up all the Chinese CDs from downstairs. That's mine. I'm sorry. And I said, that's great, because now we can start putting it on. And he can, he can start to listen.